Welcome to my YouTube channel Educationopedia, the School of Future. Today I Prabhas Shah is going to explain you NCERT Grade 7 Chapter 4 Mughal Empire. In that we will be seeing the time period of 1526 to 1539 and up to 1857 until the last ruler Bahadur Shah Zafar when he ruled, and what were the consequences until that period. Themes of this for this section. Basis of the Mughal Empire is what made it tick, what made it going, what was the different from earlier empires, and what led to its collapse. Too often, this question is reduced to the level of individual personalities. Example, the greatness of Akbar and the folly of Aurangzeb, weakness of later Mughals. So, greatness of Akbar, we have been always taught that Akbar has made many policies which changed the rule of Mughal Empire in India. And regarding Aurangzeb, you know that how his conditions was with the other same time rulers, or the continental rulers, or the some say that contemporary rulers. Yes, the contemporary rulers, how they were behaving, and how they were having relation with Aurangzeb, and how were the later Mughals weak as compared to Bahadur Shah Zafar, in front of whose eyes his four sons were killed. Two other themes before end of course we will be seeing the religious developments, which too often trivialized, and cultural fusion and shaping of India. So religious developments, we will see about the Akbar's policy of religion, Sulh-e-Kul, and other things, the Ilahi, what things were there. We will go through those things also. Overview of emperors and some events. In 1526, Babur defeats Sikandar Lodi, last of the sultans. Importance of mobile artillery, Mughal Empire begins. So you know that it was the first battle of Panipat in 1526, and in which Sikandar Lodi was defeated by Babur. And after that, what happened, everybody knows, and that changed the rule of Mughals in India, and that was the baseline of Mughal rule. And that war is very terrific war. If you will study about that, many videos are available, like live videos, how it happened and what things were there, how the planning of Babur was there with a small army to defeat the large army of Sikandar Lodi, and what things happened and how they were killed. Those all things you will come to know. Importance of mobile artillery, Mughal Empire begins. Means mobile artillery means like the weapons. They used gunpowder, and they attacked on the opposition armies. In 1542, Sher Shah Suri, an Afghan, defeats Humayun, Babur's son, and briefly displaces the Mughals, starts a series of economic reforms later continued by Akbar. So this Sher Shah Suri was none other than his father was from Afghan, and they had a small state near Jaunpur, Uttar Pradesh we are having. From there his father was a nobleman, and his son was Sher Shah Suri, who ruled over a large area at that time. And he defeated this Humayun for a short span of time, from 1514 to 1535 you can say. And after that it starts a series of economic reforms later continued by Akbar. In 1554, Humayun re-establishes the Mughal dynasty, but unfortunately he dies after that due to some disease, illness. And from 1556 to 1605, the rule of Akbar was there. This was the real basis of Mughal authority established in his era, and really many things changed during this period, and many new reforms came under this period. In from 1605 to 1627, again his Akbar's son Jahangir and Nur Jahan, his wife, who is said to have played an important role in politics of the court. Means Nur Jahan helped Jahangir in the rule, so that rule was of Jahangir. After that comes Shah Jahan, his son. He was a great builder, means he constructed many buildings, and many things are there, including the Taj Mahal. Among other buildings he commissioned was the Taj Mahal, and as a mausoleum of his wife Mumtaz Mahal, though that is a issue, and many things are told regarding that particular a monument like Taj Mahal, that it is having some significance, like it is a old temple like Taj Mahal or something. We should not go with that. We will be seeing that for what history is saying here, what it has been taught in the NCERT books. After that, 1658 to 1707, Aurangzeb ruled after Shah Jahan, and Mughal Empire was at its peak, but also present are seeds of decline. So there were some misruling concepts in Aurangzeb rule, and that was also leading to the decline of the Mughal Empire. Regional identities reassert during and after Aurangzeb time, but the crushing blow is raid by Persian ruler Nadir Shah in 1739. Everything was okay, but Aurangzeb rule was also playing an important role in the decline of Mughal Empire. But what happened after the plunderer Nadir Shah came and he plundered Delhi in 1739? After that, nothing was left to say, and many changes came. Though Mughals nominally remained in control until 1857, when Britishers came, Robert Clive, you know all, they are no longer politically significant after the 1730s. Next is significance of the Mughals. First early modern state in India, systematic basis for administration and revenue collection was started by the Mughals only. Like today also we are having the Amin, the Japti system is there, Japti Kurki, all those things. Most of the measurement system in India, in North India, you will go basically where Mughals were ruling. All the things, all records and everything is still present in Arabic language, Urdu language. So with that only you can understand that how important it was and what importance till now date it is having. The Todarmal concept of Bandobast, Todarmal Bandobast was there. So these all things are known to us, and we have read about these things in our NCERT book. Next to that, we are having the administration and revenue collection, quite different from states of both the Samanta era and those of the Sultanate. So the Mughals were totally different from the Samanta era. Samanta era means the early rulers in India, those who were like Ashoka and all the rulers were there. So those rulers were having a different rule. And after those of the Sultanate period of Delhi Sultanate was there before the Mughals. Like you know that we are having the different dynasties, the Sayyid dynasty, the Khilji dynasty, and along with that we can see that the Mughals has a different way of ruling, different essence of ruling. Last indigenous rulers for before 200 years of British rule. Portuguese land in India before the Mughals, incidentally. So before the Mughals, Portuguese came to India, and but unfortunately the rule was under the control of the Mughals only. Huge impact on influencing culture of South Asia, building cuisine, music, lifestyle. So the building constructions were bought from South Asia and other parts. The cuisine was also taken from different parts. Many of the dishes which we eat, like the samosa and all those things today, all are bought from those Arabian country, also Asian country only. The music which we are using, the Sufi music is there. So all these things came from different parts of the world. Then the lifestyle, how the people were living, this also came from the different parts of the world. Much of what we think of as Indian today developed during Mughal era. So what things we are having in our culture and the things are there, those things were developed in the Mughal era. Most of the things have been presented to us by the Mughals only. Next is rather than covering by ruler, focusing on themes. So what is the thing here? Why we are not focusing on the rulers who rule, but we will see that the what themes they have given, what changes they have brought. Basis of Mughal state, again we will see, like all states, taxation was the basis of the Mughal state. So taxes from land, like the collection of revenue in the form of crops. Though trade also taxed, and the trade which was done from India to different parts of the world, that also was charged, and that was a part of the tax to the Mughal Empire. And sources of revenue was agriculture. The major expense was of any state at that time was on the army. You know everything that to have an army at any time, we need to pay to the army also. So that was a major expense to seduce borders against raids. And why army was required? To control the borders so that the enemy would not attack on us, to conquer large territories and hence increase the number of taxpayers. So more territory will come under control, more crops will be grown in that area, and more people will be paying the taxes. So this was the main theme of our what we say, the collection of taxes and revenue, or the gather accumulated revenues of other states. Sometimes the army was needed to ensure that tax was paid and collected. So many times army was also given the task of collecting the taxes. Though both Babur and Humayun contributed to the conquest that made the Mughal Empire, it was under Akbar that the empire, the Mughal state, was consolidated. So finally under Akbar, Babur and Humayun played an important role, but basically it was Akbar who totally took control over all over the Indian subcontinent, and there he was ruling in a systematic manner. Systems of revenue collection and military mobilization of the former sultans of Delhi was made like predecessors, not foolproof. So these revenue collection and military mobilization earlier was done in a normal way, but now it was totally foolproof plan, and it was under the knowledge of certain specific people only. Sultans divided the country into iktas, Under important noble, iktas means land revenue or the land pieces which was given to the nobles and who were had to collect the taxes on those land. But when sultans weak, especially under the Lodi sultans and that of the Sher Shah Sur, ikta holders established themselves locally and did not provide each either the revenue of the service that they supposed to do. If revenues increased, then did not tell the sultan and keep the increase. So not under Akbar but under Sher Shah Suri and the Lodi sultans, most of the nobles become free and they declared themselves independence, and whatever collection or the extra collection they were having, they were not paying to the Mughal treasury, they were keeping it with them only. Next, Akbar and the Mansabdari or the Jagirdari system. Mansabdari aimed at preventing the problems with the Ikta system, create a state bureaucracy rather than the feudal style fiefs. So, what was the thing? The feudal system was removed and the Ikta land revenue system was increased, and the land small pieces were divided into Ikta and everybody was paying tax on that. Akbar ordered officials to submit revenue yields of all districts for 10 years. So, whatever revenue was coming from all districts, that has to be submitted of 10 years at once only. Once on this basis, calculate the average agricultural yield and potential tax base of each district. When he found that what was for the 10 years, on that basis only he found the average agricultural yield and the potential tax on with that particular yield what should be he charged from each district. He also appointed the officers as Mansabdars, officials of the court. Each Mansabdar was given a dual rank. So here the Mansabdar was given a rank of Jat or Sawar. Jat means the salary, amount of money they are giving, and Sawar denoted the number of troops, means how many army is there with that particular person or that particular Mansabdar, like how many people, horsemen are there, how many foot soldiers are there, how many elephant soldiers are there, particularly cavalry that was expected to maintain for the emperor. Each of these Mansabdars given a Jagir or the right to collect revenue of a part territory whose yield closely match his salary and expected expenditure on the road. So you can imagine that today 10 to 12 districts might have been given to one particular Mansabdar as a Jagir, and he would have been collected his salary or tax, whatever you can say, in the form of that revenue collected. Different from Iktas, in the Mansabdar had no rights over other than the collect revenue. So the Mansabdar were not having the right over the land, they had to only collect the revenue, the land was only belonging to that particular person only. Usually Jagir is an area where the office was not posted. So in Jagir, office were not posted, plus frequent transfer, sometimes as often as 2 years change Jagir. So this Jagirdars or Jagir changes in 2 years and it was given to some other persons. Checks and balances. The emperor received almost daily reports by local intelligence offices, plus separating judicial and administrative authority over area meant that over taxation led to petitions to crown. So people were kept after each and every person or the Mansabdars to look after that whether they are collecting proper tax or not, or they are doing any evasion or something, using a mix of force and diplomacy. So the army and the diplomatic rule, carrot and stick, means they are giving reward also, they are giving punishment also. Akbar able to win over some of the recalcitrant Rajputs in Western India. So in Western India he won the hearts of some of the Rajput community also, who were major opposition even for sultans. So the earlier sultans faced opposition from this Rajput community. So Akbar had some core relation with them. Akbar has some positive relation with them. Akbar incorporates them as officers, and he had only some marriage alliances with them, and he make those persons as officers in his particular empire. Only Rajputs given Jagirs in his own areas. So the Rajputs were there, they were being given Jagir in their own area. Next, the Mansabdari, the strength and weakness of the Mansabdari system. As Mughal state expanded, used new lands to incorporate more local nobility into this system, paid for by expanded land under Mughal control. So, whomsoever, whatever the land was there, from everybody the tax was collected. This system worked very well until royal authority was strong. So, it was a very strong system and everybody was paying tax until the royal authority was having a strong approach over the kingdom. And empire keeps expanding. But when Aurangzeb attempts at expansion on the Deccan ran into problem. So Aurangzeb, you know the story of Aurangzeb. What happened? He transferred his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad in like today in the Devgiri is there in Maharashtra. So there he tried to transfer his empire. That was the biggest failure of his, and after again he has to return back because the Mongolians attacked again on his empire, and 5 to 6 expeditions were there which all failed, and due to that Aurangzeb has to again come back. So this was all the system. By the Mansabdari system also failed, and the expansion system of Aurangzeb also faced, and his administration was proved to be a collapse. This system serves the Mughal Empire well for 3 generations, making them one of the most powerful, rich, splendid empires of their time in the entire world. This is where the word Mughal enters the English language. So here the Mughal, from where they got their the Mongolian ancestors, their mother was from the Mongolian gene and the father was from the Timurid gene, Temur lung. So these all things were there. So the here the Mughal word enters the English language, and the English starts speaking the Mughals as Mughal. Positions of and you will know be amazed to know that Mughals never wanted to be called as Mughals, and whenever they were called as Mughals they felt like insulted, like Mughaliya Sultanate they call in Hindi or Arabi. So that language, when they were called Mughals, they hated this. Positions as Mansabdars give many regional nobles high status in the Mughal court, but also spark ambitious to do better. The family of Shivaji had been high ranking officials, but now Shivaji decided that he would do better by himself, hence launched guerrilla warfare against Mughal state. So Shivaji, it is said that he met with them and he had a good relations with the Mughal, but it was not so. Many things are there we don't know. We are not in that particular time period or era at that time, so we cannot say the what really happened. But yes, Shivaji was totally against the Mughal rule, because you know that the most of the rulers like in the Guru Gobind Singh, Shivaji, these are seen as one who were taking care of the class of the Indians or the Hindus at that time. So they were against this Mughal rule. Crisis of the Jagirdari and Mansabdari system. But over time, some problems inherent in the Jagir system did reveal themselves. Because of frequent transfers, Jagirdar holder of Jagirs had no real interest in maintaining productivity of the land. So they know that what to do with this land. Again, after 2 years or 1 years, we will get transferred. So they were not allowing the farmers to put some of the manure or pesticide to the fields that it may improve. And due to that, what happened? Productivity of land decreased, and they did not improve it, and the yield did not increased. Jagirdar suppressively increased demand for peasants to point where peasants rebelled. So Jagirdar told that the peasants are not adding that manure and all those things, so that's why the crops are not growing. So the peasants, after listening this, they become very angry and they rebelled. Either under the leadership of the Jats, basically the olden days Haryana, or the Sikh in Punjab. Earlier only Punjab was there. The total part in the Punjab in Pakistan, the Punjab in India, and the Haryana, all these 3 places were known as Punjab, or under the Maratha leadership in Deccan in the time of Aurangzeb. Moreover, to expand in Deccan, Aurangzeb took in many Deccan nobles as Mansabdars, but the expected expansion of land did not come because of effective guerrilla warfare of Maharashtra. So you know the guerrilla warfare, hiding and attacking on an enemy when they are not ready for war. That was the guerrilla warfare, and this with this war technique only Shivaji was attacking on the Mughals, and they were destroying their plans to come in the southern part. So not enough Jagirs to go around. When Aurangzeb busy in Deccan for last 26 years of his life, less attention to administration. After his death, more confusion. In this confusion, Jagir holders refused transfers and entrenched themselves. No revenue repayment. Large Jagir holders declare independent kingdoms such as Hyderabad, Awadh, and Bengal. So the 3 independent kingdoms came: the Hyderabad, the Awadh, and the Bengal. Mughal and the religion. The British, for their own reasons, claimed all Muslim kings oppressed Hindus, an idea that Hindu nationalists later took on. But even beyond this, religious policies of Mughals often reduced to a difference in personality of Akbar and Aurangzeb. Akbar was totally different as compared to Aurangzeb. Personalities do play a part, but more important than personality is historical context. So we'll not go with the personality, we'll go with the history, what really happened. In that context, the economic situation and political imperatives facing the state are key. So what was the economic situation and what were the political imperatives at that time? time, political points at that time, political impact on that time, which led to the religion and its prosperity. A comparative note: this is not a time when religion can be separated from a state anywhere in the world. So, all over the world, there was something going on related to the religion, because most of the cities, countries of the world were focusing on religion and knowledge and all the fields. Akbar example, in 1556 to 16, at the time when Europe began torn apart by religious wars with the Catholic counter reformation starting 1545. So the Catholic war started in 1545 in your Europe, and there this thing also at that time only Akbar was ruling in India. This make context makes Akbar electricism quite remarkable. So what Akbar did at this time, that his function or his ideas make him a memorable person, remarkable person. Religious diversity under Mughals. Religions diverse once flourished under the Mughals. Rulers were Sunni Muslims and their faith was important to them. The Sunni Muslim means the Shia and the Sunni. Sunnis are the who got converted, but Sufi saints, mystic, often close to many of the emperors. Like the Sufi saints were there. So we are having the Ajmer Khwaja Ajmer Sharif is there. There Muinuddin Chishti is there. Nizamuddin Aulia is there. So these were the Sufi saints. Some mystics were there, and often close to many of the emperors. And they were very close to the emperors. And what they were suggesting, what they were seeing in dreams, those things they were discussing with the emperors, that you will rule like that. So they make story like something, and the emperors believed on that. So basically they were like the ulemas. Large scale spread of Islam was throughout patronage of Sufi saints by the Punjab, and the peers in Bengal by the Mughals. So today also you can see that many peers are there in India, where the people are going and visiting, and these things were there, and they were getting people to get involved in the Islamic religion, and they wanted them to get converted. But the support for Muslim saints or proselytizers did not make Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan stop patronizing Hindu or Jain scholars and specialists. So this thing was there; they were getting people converted, but the Jahangir, Akbar, and Shah Jahan, as they are telling, were promoting the Hindu and Jain scholars also and specialists. Whether it was the horoscopes for translations of Sanskrit texts into Persians, court language of the Mughals. So many things were there, and for this they converted. Most of the Mughals got converted. Akbar was not having any sort of education, so he got it converted in different languages. For that he asked the scholars, and that's why many scholars were in court. He was a person who was interested in learning and knowing most of the things. For that purpose these scholars were visiting the court of Akbar. Even the much malignant Aurangzeb gave many grants to land to the Hindu temples and religious institutions. So it might be, but he has broken many of the temples also in every part of the country. Wherever you go, either you go to Karnataka, Ramtirthwadi, or you go to Bihar, that is Darbhanga, Bhairabali, and all those areas. So you will find that there things have been done by Aurangzeb. He has broken many of the idols of God. So these things are proof, and that's why it is a negative thing also. And many where it is said that he has given some donation also. That is also a positive thing. Though stop patronage of Sanskrit, Hindi grew under his patronage did not stop his courtiers for being a patrons of Sanskrit scholars either. So they were not allowing their court persons to get involved with Sanskrit, but they were not making a new language, which was today's Hindi, which is Arabic, and the Indian words were mixed with that. More than electricism diffusion, much of what we know of Indian today, the result of Mughal influence, a fusion of older Indic and with traditions associated with Persian, Arab, and Turkic culture. So Persian, Arab, and Turk culture mixed with Indian culture, and a new culture grew. That's why it's told Eclecticism. The visual landscape of India, from the famous Taj Mahal to the shape of everyday building, developed in the distinct way under the Mughals. So the Taj Mahal which we are having, and other buildings construction which are done, many things are there that has been developed under the Mughal rule. Many of the aspects of everyday life in India today are the products of the cultural synthesis that occurred under Mughal rule. Food, music, languages, poetry, literary forms all revealed strong influences of Mughal traditions. Even Bollywood of some of the its products at least reflect Mughal influences in a variety of ways. So today's Bollywood, what you are seeing, in that also Mughal influence can be seen easily, and many things are related to that. Akbar and religion. Akbar advocated the religion of peace, of peace with all, that was known as Sulh-e-Kul. He married to many Rajput princes, aka matrimonial alliances, to make Rajputs as friend and gave them higher positions. Built the Ibadat Khana, house of worship at Fatehpur Sikri, which you can see in the image. This is the Ibadat Khana of Fatehpur Sikri, where theologians, means the believers of different religions, came, and mystics, many saints came and discussed matter of spirituality with the emperor, and they showed and talked about various issues. Sought to combine different doctrines into a new ethical moral code. Din-e Ilahi, sometimes referred to as the new religion. So Din-e Ilahi was referred to as a new religion. Context of Akbar's policy. Mansabdari allows Akbar consolidate Mughal empire, and a regular source of revenue was one reason why he was able to undertake a more tolerant religious policy. So revenue was very high in the context of Akbar due to Mansabdari system, and he took many important decisions like the abolish of jizya. Jizya was a very painful tax to be given by the Hindus to the Arab or the Mughal rulers in order to go to their pilgrims and worship their god. This also allows Akbar to follow Sulh-e-Kul, peace with all. Akbar was expanding and consolidating empire. For this, that he needed to win the over Rajputs, because Rajputs were the ruler class of India at that time. That desire, though, it did not prevent Akbar from military campaigns against the Rajputs who defied him. But those who were not supporting Akbar or were against him, he fought with those Rajput rulers. A massacre at the fort of Chittor is said to have resulted in death of 30,000 non-combatants, means 30,000 such persons who were not fighting the war. They were also killed at Chittor fort when Rajputs were defeated, and they had a fight with Akbar. But did have Rajputs or and other Hindus in very important positions in his court. So many of the Rajputs and other Hindus got important positions as Navratnas in his court, married Rajput princesses, and they were allowed to worship as they please. So the Jodhabai was there, regarding her it is told, and many other princes were married. Let's not go into the internal things, but here we can see that yes, he married and he had alliances with the Rajputs. Aurangzeb, the contrast. So what was the rule of Aurangzeb and what happened? He reimposed jizya kar after the death of Akbar. When Aurangzeb came to rule, then he imposed jizya tax, poll tax on non-Muslims. Means those who are not Muslims, if they had to go to their pilgrim center, they have to pay jizya. And patronage Sanskrit scholars, Turkish. So he again, the Sanskrit scholars were there, so his patronage, whatever they were getting from the Mughal courts, they were not now getting anything from them due to Aurangzeb. And many Hindus temples were broken under his rule. He demonstrable political personal Islamic piety, and he was not even religious, that he was doing something for religion, but he was like a believer of Islam, and many things he believed that if you do like this, we will be happy. For that purpose he was doing the things. But grants land to Hindu institution, also patronizes Hindi vernacular over the classical Sanskrit, retains Hindus in many important positions in his administration. Aurangzeb, religion, Jagirdari, and Shivaji. Strains in the Jagirdari system limit Aurangzeb option as far as religious tolerance and concerned. Jizya reimposition was a financial move. So jizya was done to increase some revenue to the court. Such policies may have been hurtful to Hindu subjects and leaders like Shivaji, who wanted own domination in over Deccan, quick to seize upon it, taking leadership and disaffected peasants. But in fact, Shivaji's taxes on peasants are high. So Sardeshai and Chauth are the tax taken by Shivaji, and that was a high tax, and he gave protection to those peasants from the Mughal rule. Although Shivaji represented himself as a Hindu ruler fighting against foreign Mughal rule, he to accept it as face value clearly preposterous. Aurangzeb was as much as an Indian as Shivaji. Even his great grandfather Akbar had been born and raised in India. So it is said that yes, both of them were Indians, but here we will see them as Shivaji will be always seen as an Indian or the ruler, and here Aurangzeb, what he did, especially with the Sikh rulers and the Sikh people, with that we cannot ever accept him as a ruler of our country, or pious ruler of our country, or a pure ruler of our country. Whatever it might be, it's not the opinion to be shared. Let's move forward. As many of his opponents, Shivaji, as a prime example, was using their religious identity to mobilize support against Aurangzeb. Hardly surprising that Aurangzeb destroyed many symbols of their opposition Hindu temples. Yes, it is true. From in Karnataka, you will go from Bidar district if you will start, and in every place wherever you will go, you will see many of the temples destroyed. Their Shikram has been destroyed by these Aurangzeb and his people. So that is a true thing. We will see whenever you go or whenever you visit those places, you will come to see these things, and you will face that why these things might have happened, what was the reason to do these things, what the particular temples have done wrong with these people. Next is your decline of Mughals and successor states. Aurangzeb met resistance challenges from new emerging social groups, challenges that he ignored while expanding southward. So he was moving southward, and the Mongols attacked in the New Delhi. Again, he has to move to Delhi, and again the people from South India attacked on the Maharashtra region where he was gaining control. Jat and also Marathas given lost lots of privileges under Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb also supported the Jat and Maratha because he knew that without them he cannot rule. Example, Shivaji and family led to greater demands. So now what Shivaji was demanding and his family was demanding, that the Aurangzeb has to provide. Or rulers after Aurangzeb, they are not able to maintain the system, fault lines open up. So now after Aurangzeb, whomsoever was his son, he was not able to rule properly. Zamindars who or what they did, zamindars are independent landholders, not owners ran. So zamindars were not independent landholders and not owners, like little kingdoms they were having. Next, the princes were there, the Mughal rulers, like the Shahanshah or the prince or the princesses they were called. Next, the governors were there who will having Mughal administrators over Hyderabad, Bengal and Awadh, and later they become the Nizams. Where else did the challenges come from? Were the Sikhs and Jats in North India, like the present day Haryana and Punjab and parts of Pakistan. Next, the Marathas from Western India, Shivaji and its ancestors and rulers, and invaders who like Nadir Shah who plundered Delhi, Ahmad Shah Abdali who plundered Delhi in 1739, Nadir Shah Abdali in 1748, and again in 1757, and his own governors who were every day giving threat to the Mughal Empire. By middle of the 18th century, a variety of successor states in place Mughal authority over the only titular, and it was not real. Successor states in European traders, we have the Awadh, Bengal, Marathas, Hyderabad, and Mysore among the most important successor states because they become the important centers from where the Mughal Empire faced the revolt. Each hoping to replace the Mughal as the new centralizing power. So now they wanted to replace Mughal and get themselves settled at that high point. But new players in the picture in the form of European trading companies, Dutch, French and English also came, and they has gunpowder and other weapons. Portuguese declining presence over 17th century. Important to keep in mind that the Euros, AEIC in particular took over from the successor states, not the Mughals, who were a spent force by the third quarter of the 18th century, 17th centuries or so. So this was the end of the Mughal Empire. Thank you. Hope you understood this lesson, and thank you for watching the video. Thanks.